Hello, everyone, and thanks again for spending time with HWA. April is National Minority Health Month, which means there are a long list of health-related topics we could cover. However, we want to talk about strokes today. And you're asking, well, maybe why? Sadly enough, Dr. BCWs and my mother both experienced a stroke on the same day in mid-March. So we want to take a few minutes to talk about our perspective, share a few bullet points, and just kind of have a conversation with each other about that experience, because we're sure that someone listening to our video today will be able to relate and hopefully be able to push it forward and help others. So Dr. BCW, it's been a crazy 4 to 6 weeks or so. Would you mind sharing a few points about what happened, how we can support others, and just overall how impactful that life-changing event actually was for you and your family?
Absolutely, Eugene. When we talk about the fact that we both experienced a life-changing event on the same day, it is just unimaginable to experience something like this just in general. But to have you via text and phone to go through this health crises was just amazing. And I just want to start with that. So unfortunately, my mom experienced a stroke. When we talk about how time is the essence, when someone has this event happen, it truly is. She suffered a stroke in her home and wasn't found for 12 hours. And so I hope by sharing what can happen when someone has a stroke and what you can do in respect to time and how that can be life-changing, I hope this helps someone change a life or change some sort of element when a crisis like this happens. Sorry, it's so emotional.
I know, and it's incredibly impactful and important. And time is critical. And our situation was it was similar, but a little bit different. We got the call. Unfortunately, my mother's not alone, so my nephew was there. She spoke to him initially, and this is 2:00 in the morning, talking about some of the symptoms that she was experiencing. Numbness on the right side. And earlier in the day, she felt pretty much completely fine. My nephew called me. I said, hey, meet me at the hospital. My sister was already calling me. So we were 2:30 in the morning. It was like a very quick SWAT team in order to get her from her home to the hospital as quickly as possible and have somebody to give her immediate treatment. If there was just a delay, an extra delay in time, or just a second thought, or if she decided I'll just lay back down and kind of sleep it off, we don't know that she will be here right now. In the next couple of weeks, we're just like, what just happened? We're talking about a woman that is normally very spry. She doesn't sit down and stay, in one spot for very long. And now she's kind of like not that as much as she used to be. So throughout the process, a couple of things really did resonate with me. Number one, there's no such thing as a minor stroke. People would see her in the hospital and say, oh, well, what's wrong with you? And, because people become conditioned to what they believe are the associated traits of having a stroke. Hers was not visibly aggressive, but internally, and as you know, strokes are complex. Like, they still don't quite know why it happened, how to prevent it next. I mean, there's some things lifestyle-wise that, of course, we could all do better. So can you talk more about how important the reaction time and the speed and just, even if you overreact, it's still the right reaction?
Absolutely. Time is the essence, as we have mentioned. And so some of the symptoms of a stroke can be a sudden or severe headache, confusion, weakness, numbness in the face, arm or legs, especially on one side. And, your experience that you shared, Eugene, about your mom is really similar to with my dad. It was identified quickly and we were able to respond right away. And so I think a good thing for us to share with everyone is it's okay if you don't know, but act. There's no harm and just making sure, because, thinking, oh, I don't want to bother anyone, or maybe this isn't that, can be the difference between life and death. And so
Absolutely.
when we talk about the tips, the things that you can do, there is an acronym identified
Yeah.
as FAST.
Yeah.
And so it's, looking for any changes in facial expression. Can the person lift their arm? Is there any changes in speech? That is a key thing. And sometimes it can be subtle, as you mentioned, Eugene,
Yep.
and then time. So those are things that you can have in your pocket. If you see that or you're experiencing that, think of that, because that can change the trajectory of life versus death or complications. So, I'm so glad that your mom had a great, I'm careful with those words. She had a
Yes.
great outcome,
Yep.
but there's still work to be done and there's still
A lot.
support.
But it's a really interesting situation because it's kind of a quiet. It attacks you quietly. Because once your loved one is in the hospital, that person is now your patient. Like, you now become a part of the care team, and even greater than just a part of the care team. You're kind of the point guard of
Yes.
the care team. You have to push it forward. You have to be on the unit, asking questions, making friends, shaking hands, kissing babies, making sure that people understand that there is a presence there, and this person is important to you, and hold people accountable. And this is not to say that her care team would have done the opposite if my sister and I weren't there every single day working our separate shifts on supporting her in a situation. But it helps when people are able to put a face and a heart to just another patient amongst the long list of patients that they have to deal with. So I would definitely challenge anybody, whether it be a stroke or anything else, if you have a loved one in the hospital for whatever reason, that is your patient. And you need to hold the healthcare professionals accountable from a place of partnership, not walking the halls and barking at people, but making sure that he or she is receiving optimal care and they're able to get out of there and feel something close to what they were before they started the process.
Absolutely. I'm so glad we're sharing this, because I had shared with you, my dad had a stroke about 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and he was fortunate to receive care in a timely manner that allowed him to be able to fight this and
Yeah.
recover. And he recovered quite well. But one of the things that I did for him, and I also did this for my mom when we found her and when she was in the hospital before she passed away, was I shared a story. And by that, I mean sharing what they like to do, what they love to eat, the activities that they participated in. I wanted you to know about my mom or my
Yep.
dad,
Yep.
because that can really make a difference when you have a connection. And I think when you can create an image of who your loved one is for whoever is entering that room, that is another way of advocating, because that creates a connection with your loved one to someone who, is just meeting them for the first time. That is another way that I think we often forget in respect to advocacy, because that can make a difference in how they're perceived, type of care they get. And it's unfortunate that even happens, but
Yeah.
I think there is stock in doing something of that sort.
Could not agree more. And it's funny how organic that happens. I mean, just the interaction between my mother and I, sitting together, watching. She loves the court shows, the Judge Judy's, the Judge Mathis's. So we're sitting there cracking up, and people interact in and out of the room. And they're absorbing all of this, and they're thinking to themselves, that person's loved. And they're also thinking to themselves, how's my brother? How's my mother? Then my sister and I couldn't be on the unit most of the time at the same time because of just some of the regulations at this particular hospital. But when we were, the last day when she was being discharged, I could see a lot of the staff kind of put the entire picture together, seeing the three of us and saying, oh, I get it. Like, I'm glad that we did support this woman in the way, even to the point where they were like, I wish we had a bell. We would ring the bell for you because we loved you so much and your family. And this was a great experience for everybody. So it did kind of break the right way. And it's I'll be really interested to hear from our viewers and people that are viewing this post and sharing the post on some of their experiences, whether it be within the comments or sending you and I a direct message, whatever it may be, because this is such a critically important condition. It's a little slippery because people just don't know. I have a friend that's a little bit younger than our parents, had a stroke 10 years ago in the prime of her life. And it really kind of knocked her down quite a bit, to the point where they never knew why it happened, and she never returned to work. It's changed who she is, and how she approaches everything that she does from here on out. So the new normal is really important, being able to embrace that, being able to support people, and being able to be a part of that new normal. My mother now walks with a cane. 2 weeks, a month ago, would never, that was never on the agenda for her. But you do this together. So I would love to hear from, we would love to hear from people that are experiencing something similar, maybe the same thing. And let's just keep supporting each other.
And when you mention support, that is key. Whether it's a outcome where there is improvement, rehab, and so forth, or it involves grief. In my case, with my mom passing away, that needs that continued support as well. And as many of you know, I lost my dad in August. And so to lose two parents in a short period of time is a gut punch. And even as a physician who sees death and deals with, highs and joys and then unfortunate events, it is so hard. And so when you said that, Eugene, support, I think that needs to happen, in all spaces, because this disease, and like many, but this one, we had this shared event on the same day. And I appreciate the fact that you have continued to reach out. How are you doing? And that support is also, so important. This is something that I'm so glad that we are highlighting. And as you mentioned, send us a message, DM, let us know if you would like us to talk more about this, because I think there's so much when we talk about stroke symptoms and possible poor outcomes. And what do you do if it ends in grief? And that grief can be different in different ways. And when I say that, you mentioned your mom. She's a spry individual. She's someone who is out and about, and this new norm is different. And so I think with being thoughtful with that word grief, there is grief, and this person isn't what they were before. And so I hope this helps by sharing our stories. We are helping someone out there.
For all of our viewers, this is part therapy as well. So you guys are seeing unscripted, let's just talk about this. And just so you know, Dr. ECW, friends, family, people that follow us on social media, are rooting for you guys, or praying for you guys. We talked about it quite a bit, and everyone wanted me to make sure that you knew that we are, you have our 100% support. So yes, thank you for hanging out with HWA. This is a great way to kick off the spring. Let's make sure that we support each other, be healthy, be better, live better together, and we will talk to you guys next time.